On January 30, 1925, in the American state of Kentucky, there was a cave called Sand Cave. Floyd Collins, holding a kerosene lantern, began to enter a 5-foot wide cave. The cave was very small, so he had to crawl inside, and sharp rocks protruded from all sides of the cave. The inside of the cave was pitch black, and the kerosene lantern was his only source of light. He reached the turnaround room, a place where even experienced cavers were afraid to go further and turn back. This place was named Turnaround because to go further, the caver had to cross a small passage. This passage was so small that even a child would struggle to cross it. To give you an idea, the size of this small hole was similar to a 500 milliliters Coca-Cola bottle. Entering here meant facing a very difficult situation. Floyd slowly disappeared into the hole. His clothes got caught on the sharp rocks of the cave, making it very difficult for him to move forward. At this point, Floyd used his feet to push himself inside. He reached a wider opening and had to descend 10 feet into a narrow shaft to go further. This narrow passage was like a chimney. He tied a rope to a rock and climbed down the shaft. This was the end of the cave, so he started digging to reach the other side. On the other side was a large crystal chamber. It looked amazing. Floyd had been digging in this area for about a month. As usual, Floyd finished his work and was returning through the same narrow passage. He struggled as before, but after covering some distance, his kerosene lantern broke, and he was left alone in the dark cave. Despite the darkness, he slowly made his way out. Suddenly, in the dark, he accidentally kicked a loose rock with his foot, and a 20 kilograms heavy rock fell on his ankle. He tried to remove the rock with his other foot, but due to the limited space, the rock got stuck between the cave and his foot. The more he kicked the rock, the more small stones fell on his foot, making his situation worse. The rough rocks below were poking his back, and drops of icy water were falling on his face. The pressure on his foot was increasing. In this situation, his only option was to scream for help. He was trapped 60 feet below the ground in a dark, small cave. And this was the beginning of Floyd Collins' struggle for survival. Floyd Collins was born on July 20, 1887, in Logan County, Kentucky, USA. The area had a network of large caves. He loved exploring caves from a young age and spent hours exploring them, sometimes even sleeping inside. In Floyd's time, cave exploration was a profitable and competitive business in that region. In 1925, Floyd discovered a cave called Sand Cave, located a few meters from the highway. This cave had an interesting feature, a chamber made of gypsum crystals. It was more beautiful than other caves, but very difficult to enter. Floyd spent weeks clearing pebbles, sand, and limestone from the narrow passage. Finally, on January 30, 1925, the day he got trapped, he managed to dig a way to the crystal chamber. He was very excited as his month-long effort had paid off. But fate had other plans. While returning, Floyd got trapped 60 feet below the ground, where even slight movement was impossible. He screamed for hours, but no one could hear him. Exhausted, he fell asleep. When he woke up, he started screaming again, but no one was around. He was trapped in the small cave for about 23 hours. When Floyd didn't return home, his family got worried. His father, uncle, and younger brother, Homer Collins, went to the cave to look for him. They found Floyd's clothes and hat near the entrance, realizing he was inside. To confirm, Homer went to the turnaround room and called out his name. He heard his brother's screams. Homer knew his brother was in grave danger. Homer came out and informed everyone about Floyd's situation. He took some food and water and risked going inside to reach his brother's head. He gave Floyd a sandwich and hot coffee to calm him down and started planning his rescue. But the situation was very dangerous. Staying there for even a minute was challenging for Homer. Floyd was trapped with a heavy rock on his foot, surrounded by loose stones that could fall any time. The opening was very small, so Homer had only two options. First, he could lower his feet, but he couldn't reach Floyd due to his body blocking the way. Second, he could lower his head, but he would have to remove 100 kilograms of rocks upside down. The problem was the limited space. For 8 hours, he tried to remove the rocks, but more loose stones kept falling, making his efforts futile. He told his brother he would arrange for rescue and left the cave in despair. Floyd was trapped for about 45 hours. When Homer came out, he saw thousands of people gathered outside the cave, hoping for a successful rescue. News of Floyd's accident had spread like wildfire, and reporters had arrived. They started interviewing Homer and asking about Floyd. One reporter, William Miller, tried to interview Homer, but Homer angrily told him to go inside and ask Floyd himself instead of asking stupid questions. Miller agreed and went inside with his camera. He reached Floyd, not to help, but to increase his news's TRP. He interviewed Floyd in that critical situation, which was ridiculous. Floyd was fighting for his life and was in no condition to give an interview. Miller came out and published a detailed report in the newspaper, which spread across America. People from far and wide came by train to the cave, waiting for Floyd's rescue. Some businessmen started making money by setting up food stalls and hotels, and magicians performed shows. The crowd's movement loosened the rocks further inside the cave. At this time, a firefighter named Robert arrived and planned to pull Floyd out with a rope. He went inside, tied the rope around Floyd's chest, and people outside started pulling. But the plan failed. The rope's tension and the crowd's movement caused another side of the cave to collapse, blocking the only way to reach Floyd forever. Now, the only option was to dig 60 feet down to reach Floyd directly. But this was not easy, as it would take time, and it was uncertain if Floyd could survive that long. After some calculations, the rescue team started mining. It started raining, making the mining more difficult and causing delays. After the rain stopped, they resumed mining. After about 30 hours, they finally found Floyd Collins's body. Sadly, he was no longer alive. After struggling for 17 days, Floyd's fight for life ended. The rescue team recovered his body and buried him in front of the cave.